Nabta Playa, the ancient astronomers, and the origin of Egypt. Well, we know that most ancient ruins around the world, for a very strange reason, have alignments with star systems. Why were the ancients giving such importance and significance to the skies above them? Nabta Playa is an archaeological site in the Nubian desert. It's made up of hundreds of prehistoric burial mounds, columns, stelae, pillars, and megalithic structures. It's the result of an advanced urban community that emerged approximately 11,000 years ago. That's around the Younger Dryas period, and left behind a large number of stones that, for scientists, are the oldest megalithic astronomical alignments in the world. Some archaeologists believe that the town of Nabta Playa is a precursor to the first cities of the Nile that emerged in Egypt thousands of years later. Obviously, this area at that time was not a desert. It was lush and green. Now, the ancient remains of Nabta Playa were first discovered in 1974 by a group of scientists led by Fred Wendorf, professor of anthropology at the Methodist University of South Texas, who realized that there were many objects in the sand. Wendorf made several visits to the site, discovering something new every time. But it was actually several decades earlier when researchers discovered the dozens of stone structures that are known today, and when they realized the function and importance of these large megaliths. The first inhabitants of Nabta Playa. Although Nabta Playa is currently in a dry, unforgiving desert, it was not always the case. Scientists determined that around 10,000 BC, a climate change produced in the north of Africa a displacement towards the north of the summer monsoons. This change caused enough rain over the region to fill a number of beaches, dry lakes, for at least several months of the year, enough water to support animals and humans. Archaeological evidence seems to suggest that the first settlements of people in Nabta Playa emerged between 11,000 and 9,300 years ago. Wendorf and ethnologist Christopher Ehret have suggested that they were nomadic herders with seasonal camps, and that they eventually left the site when the water ran dry. Although very few ceramic remains have been found, and the discovered ones are considered among the oldest identified in Africa. About 9,000 years ago, settlements became larger and more sophisticated, and the villages built cabins with fireplaces arranged in rows, and began digging deep wells, allowing them to have a year-round water supply, conditions necessary for permanent settlements. During this time, the area was covered by grasslands, where gazelles and hares lived, and people survived by hunting and eating wild plants. There's also evidence that the domestication of animals, including goats and sheep, arose around 8,100 years ago, as well as the establishment of organized jobs. Between 8,000 and 7,000 years ago, the region suffered two major droughts that caused a significant decrease in the water level. Nabta Playa became an extremely arid and almost lifeless place, and the settlements were abandoned. However, the droughts subsided after about 1,000 years, and new human groups began to return to the site. From that moment, the region witnessed the arrival of a much more complex and advanced society, and it was during this period that most of the megalithic structures were built. The stone structures of Nabta Playa. For several thousand years, the town of Nabta Playa built numerous megalithic monuments, including stone circles, underground tombs, huge stone slabs, and rows of stelae stretching for some 2,500 meters. That's about 7,000 feet. These megalithic monuments are among the oldest in the world. Nabta Playa is a few thousand years older than Stonehenge. And this is on Infinity Explorers by Anshu Vastava. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.